Hi, welcome to another WPHubSite Getting Started video. This video is to help you get set up on the WPHubSite website customizer. It's actually the WordPress customizer, but of course the WordPress customizer is different for every theme out there, including the WPHubSite theme. So this is to help you go through the specifics of setting up your WPHubSite website with the WordPress customizer for the WPHubSite theme. So the customizer makes it possible to configure the overall look and feel of different parts of your website, such as the header, which is this section up here, and also the footer, which is this section here. They can be highly customized within the customizer themselves. There are some more advanced ways to do it, to customize the header and footer with a site builder, but this video is not going to go into the detail on that. It's going to more cover just the regular theme header and footer. As far as what you can do, you can use the customizer to build a custom header and a custom footer, but you'll see, like on the WPHubSite website, this header is part of the theme, so it's just the WPHubSite theme, but this footer uses a more advanced method of controlling how things look. So that's another video, more advanced function, but also there will be a help article and video on that. But we're just going to cover the customizer right now. So you can customize a whole bunch of parts of your website with the customizer. You can customize the header, you can customize the footer, you can customize blog pages so they all look similar, you can customize blog archive pages, things like that. The only pages that you probably don't want to use the customizer for are pages themselves. Posts are great for it, header, footer, archive pages, all that. So in order to access the customizer, if you're logged into your WPHubSite website, on the front end you'll always have the customize link here, but if you're on the back end of your website, which is where I'm going to start from, you can hover over appearance and click on customize, and it's going to open a live view of your website. So here you can see a live view of, this is just a demo website right now, but this is a live view of it, but you get this bar on the left hand side that gives you all the customization options. So I'm going to go through some of those options and how they work, and probably ones you want to pay special close attention to. And you'll find in the help article I go over all of these. So like the global features, you can update global features that affect your entire website. So things like how the font face you use, the font sizes, how big headers are, all that stuff you can control. And actually even Site Builder will take that information from your theme. And that's all controlled globally in this global section. The header lets you update anything specific to the header. So if you're customizing the entire look of your website through the customizer, then you can also add breadcrumbs with that. The blog section lets you configure exactly how your blog looks. So the archive pages, the blog roll, the main blog page, and also blog posts themselves. And then the sidebar, that's going to let you customize if you have pages or page formats that use a sidebar, you can customize how that sidebar looks right here. And then you can also customize how the footer looks on your site right here. Menus, it's another way to configure menus on your website, so you can do that on the back end or the front end. That's covered in more detail in the menus video, so I'm not going to cover it too much here. And then widgets, you can control widgets in different sections of your website. So like you can turn on widgets in the footer, so you can have 4 columns of information that lets you put different bits of information. Like on the WPHubSite website, you can see there's 3 columns. And then homepage settings, those you can change those settings in the general, in the back end, also in the settings options, but you can choose them here to choose like a static page for your homepage. You notice this is a static page. but you can also choose your latest posts. Like if you run a blog, then that might make more sense. And then you can also choose your post page. So I'm not going to cover that in any more detail. I'm going to go right into global here, which is probably the place where you want to focus. At least in the beginning, you want to focus on this section the most. Get these perfected because they're going to affect the rest of your website, so you don't have to tweak every little setting. You can just count on it using the defaults, the global settings that are right because you set them the first time. So in global, you can set the typography, colors, container, and buttons. So I'm going to go through each of these one by one. Typography, of course, you have base typography, and that's any body text. And then you have headings. That's like H1, H2, all the different level headings on your website. So I'm going to go into base typography, and you can select from a default. These are system fonts, and then you can actually access any Google font right from here. And you can also search for a Google font. So that makes it a lot easier to find. And you can see when I change things like that, see it's going to change the base font of my entire site. And then you can choose the base size. So if I choose a larger size, it's going to update right here in the site. And you'll notice that the font size got bigger for this text. And then also you can change the variance. That's like bold. You can make it bolder or lighter, different things like that. Or at least what's available to it. And then you can actually choose the default here. And then also capitalize. This is probably going to be best for headers, not necessarily body content. You don't want all caps for body content. It's really hard to read. And then for paragraph text, you can choose the line height. So how much space is in between each line. You can increase it, and you'll notice the lines get further apart, or you can decrease it down to 1, and that's going to be pretty tight. I would not recommend that tight of text. 1.5 about seems to be a good amount. And then you can choose the paragraph margin bottom. So that's the space from the bottom of one paragraph to the next. So if I update this to 2, you notice that's going to expand. So you can see that paragraph space getting bigger or smaller. So that's the base, that's the base typography. That's body. The headers do adopt some of those settings, but not the size, just the family. But headings you can control better in each one. So here you can create a base heading font. So it's gonna inherit. You can choose to inherit from the base typography, or you can create your own. Choose your own font family for headers, which is a good idea. It's a good idea to have 2 different font types, no more. You can have less. You can just do 1, but 2 is the maximum. But you can set the base heading font family here, and then also choose what kind of variants are available. This specific one only has normal, so you can't choose anything from here. So if you have a font that has more variants, then you can choose which ones should be available here. So I'm just going to make them all available. If you don't select any, they're all going to be available, and then you'll see they're available in here. So I can make it bold, more bold headings. Doesn't really make a big difference, but that's okay. But then I can choose things like to capitalize the headings. So that's going to capitalize the first letter of each one, but I can choose uppercase, and there now the headers all capital uppercase letters. Not sure if you want to do that. That's up to you how you control that. And then that's the overall heading settings, but you can control the settings for each level. So you can control font size for heading 1 to all the way down to 6. And you can control the weight for each one, text transition, line height, all of this. So you can control the overall look and feel of the font of your website through these typography settings. So once you get that set, awesome. Now you want to move on to colors. These are gonna be, like base colors, text color. So it's gonna pull that text color for your body text and your headers, things like that. So you'll see if I choose green, then it's gonna change text to green. Not very readable, but just so you can get the idea of what that does. That's a little bit better as far as being readable. And then theme color, that'll change different parts of your website. You'll see it, like it didn't change much in here because most of this is controlled by a site builder, but if you choose theme color, like buttons that you put in there, the default's gonna be, it's gonna pull in some of that theme color throughout the site. So you can play with that and see exactly, it depends how you built your website. This one's a site builder page, so it's not gonna pull in as many of these settings. But link color, that's going to change any default links on your website. So you can see there's a link right there and it's orange now, but it's kind of a black for when I hover. So say I want the hover color red, I can change that. And now when I hover on that link, it's going to be red. And then also you can choose the background color. If I change that on this page, you're not likely to see it because the background color is underneath the site builder color. Oh, no, I guess it's transparent. So the site builder color is transparent, so you can see the overall website background color, or you can set an image. And then for content, you can change the actual heading color also. So that's hard to read, but maybe I do that. And so you can choose a different color for each heading. Not sure if you necessarily want to do that. You can maybe choose a dark, like a black for the header and maybe a light gray for the text. Something like that might look nice. And then you can choose a container. Again, this is not going to affect this page right here, but yeah, so this actually is set to default. You can override the defaults for any page, but this page is using the defaults. So boxed, you'll notice it's going to keep the content in just a small box. And then content boxed, if I had a sidebar, then I think the sidebar would be floating, but the content would remain in a box. In this case, you can't really tell the difference. Full width contained, depending on how the browser is, it's going to create kind of a section. This will be contained, the content will be contained within this 1200 pixels with the full width contained. But the background, is the full width of it. And you can play with some of these settings and see exactly how it looks. Stretched, it's going to use the full width of the page. So you see how that's stretched all the way to this edge. And that's the ideal way to use it for pages because you can control the width of the content with the site builder itself. So that works a lot better for pages. And then again, you can choose these. This is the overall layout for all pages, but you can choose a default for each one. You can either choose to use this overall default layout, or for a page, like for pages, I would definitely recommend you use full width stretched. Right now, since my overall default is stretched, I don't need to change it. I can just leave it at default. But blog post layout, you might want content boxed. You might want that content in a box and the sidebar not in a box. And then our archives, probably the same thing. And then you can control the spacing down here. So I'm going to go out of container and go into buttons. And these are any buttons on the website. These are all specific buttons that are controlled in the site builder. So that's actually going to override any buttons in the customizer. But I can, choose text color for a button. I can choose white. So there's normal and hover. And then the background color for a button, maybe I do red. For hover, maybe I want an orange, but I still want white. There. And then you can select a border if you want a border. The border information could have padding too, all that stuff. So I can change the font of text, but I'm not gonna get into that right now. You can play with some of those settings. So that's everything in global. That's gonna make sure the base for your website looks good. Mine, of course, doesn't look that great right now, but maybe I want to change that text color because I changed the background, and so it made it kind of unreadable. So that's at least a little bit better. So those are all the global settings, and keep in mind, you can click on all these options to go into them, but you can click the back arrow to back out, to get back to the main menu. Once you're back to the main one, notice there are no more arrows. So then you can also configure the header with these settings. One of the most important things to change is the site identity. You can change things. You can add like your logo. So there, the WPHubSite logo is used in this header, and then the site icon. You'll notice there's a little logo in here. That's really important, especially since now Google uses that in mobile search results. So that site icon is really important to set, and you can do that right here in the site identity settings. And then, of course, you can choose the width of the logo. I'm going to leave it at 200. And then you can also change your site title. These are similar to what's in the general WordPress settings. You can choose the site title. You can choose not to display it or to display it. I don't know why you'd want to display a logo and the site title. Probably wouldn't, but you can do that with the tagline too. So there, if you wanted to use the tagline, you could. I don't want to use that there. And then also you can control some of the spacing. And that's just the general site identity, but then this is where you get into customizing how the actual header is configured. So you can have the logo in the top middle, and then the navigation right here. That navigation's white, so you can't even see it. And then you could have the navigation to the right, your logo to the right and your navigation on the left. And then you can choose how it looks on mobile. And another important setting to take a look at is some of these settings you can change. You can configure each one for the desktop, tablet, and mobile. So you notice there's some layout configurations for the mobile header. Well, I come over here, click on mobile, and it's going to show what my website looks on mobile, like on mobile. So there you can see the menu. What if I want the navigation to be under? Then I can do that right there. So coming over here, you can, of course I changed the mobile header, but you can change the background of the header here. And then also you can change some of the padding for the header. So like I can increase the top, all that. Just kind of showing you what can be done here, not necessarily sticking to anything pretty. So that's the primary header up here, and again these buttons let you see what it looks like on tablet, mobile, all different modes, and you can use that throughout the customizer. And then the primary menu, that's this menu right here. You can choose what you want to use as the last item in the menu, so you can add in search here so people can search your website. So you add a little search icon, and then their search pops out. And you can choose what kind of search even. There's all kinds of cool configurations in here for what you can do. So like that's going to come up with a full page search. Or you can put a widget or a button at the end here. So now there's like a good call to action button on your site, and you'll see on the WPHubSite website we use the button right there. And you can choose where you want it to link to. And then submenu items. This doesn't have a submenu, but you can control, like if I had a few menu items under Embed HubSpot, then it'll pop out with more information. That's the submenu, so you can control how that functions. And then also you can control the mobile menu better. So say you don't want the mobile menu to show up for the tablet. So I don't want it to show up for tablet. I can actually choose the breakpoint for it. So I can reduce that. So I can reduce the menu breakpoint. So the screen has to be, 650 pixels or less in order to show the mobile menu. So I don't want it to show for the tablet. So I, change these settings here. And you can also change the menu label. So I can add a label to it. It's not going to change anything here because I'm in tablet view, but if I go here, see now it says menu in addition to the hamburger icon. And then of course you can change colors and all of this stuff too. I'm not going to go into too many details on that primary menu. Beyond that, you can change typography, spacing, all that good stuff. So I want to get into transparent header before I move on to the next section. We'll come back over here into desktop mode. I can enable transparent web header, and now the content's going to actually go up under the header here. So you have to be sure you have something that's going to fill that gap, like an image or whatever on each of your pages, because all the content's going to go right to the top of the page underneath the header. So you want to make sure you approach that carefully. But I'm going to disable that right now, and then of course you can choose where it's enabled on. So transparent might be only on the desktop. Depends on your needs. And then you can control for the header, what the overlay color is for the background. So right there, it's it's gray. It lays over the content, but it's not transparent anymore. So you can keep it clear that it's transparent, or you can actually make it a solid, the background a solid color. And you can do that. You can choose a lot of those different options there to control how your transparent header works. I'm going to turn off transparent header though. You can also do a sticky header. So it's transparent, and then when you scroll down, the header actually sticks to the top of the screen. And you'll notice that's actually how the WPHubSite header works. Notice how it sticks. But we're going to get out of the header settings, and I'm just going to show you a breadcrumb real quick. You can put it inside the header. So there's the breadcrumbs. This is the home page, so there's not really much there. You can do it after header, so it's going to show up outside of it, but in its own little section. Or you can do it before the title of the page. This page does not have a title from the theme, so it doesn't show up. It doesn't really work here. I don't generally use the breadcrumb from the theme, but you can. You may have a better use for it than me. On the WPHubSite website, it does not use breadcrumbs at all, but you can use those in the site builder through the SEO plugin too. That's also for a different video. So there's actually multiple different ways to do breadcrumbs. Now, as far as the blog, I don't have any blog posts set up, but you can control the look of a single post and a blog archive. You can organize what content shows up on there, how all that shows up. So you can put the title above the featured image, below it. You can reorganize the meta content. You can turn things off in the meta content. And then of course you can overwrite the content width. You can either use the default or overwrite it. You can choose how content shows, and I recommend just playing with some of these settings and see how the design looks to you. And then of course single post, you can do a lot of the same configurations. You can even change the title color of your blog post. So that's for the blog. And then sidebar, if you use it, the default is generally no sidebar, so a page wouldn't have a sidebar, but so you can see these these all use the default, which is no sidebar. But say I want a right sidebar, I can change that for a page. Now you'll see a right sidebar popped up. So these are widget content. This is all pulled from a widget that that then puts categories, metadata, all this information in. And these are links. You just can't see them because my coloring is bad. So maybe I'm going to come over here and change that background color. So right here I go, I reset some of the colors so you can see stuff a little better, but you can see this is the sidebar that I set on pages for right sidebar. I can do that for blog posts and archives. I can choose how wide the sidebar is. Like say I don't want that to be 30%, I can change that. So there it's going to take up a little less room. And then of course I can configure all the colors, typography, all that cool stuff for the sidebar. So that's enough for the sidebar information. You can go through and play with some of those. And then there's the footer. Right now the footer is just one line of text. So you can see it's just one bar. It's got the copyright, the current year, site title, and then powered by WPHubSite Theme. You can get rid of that and put a footer menu. I haven't assigned a footer menu for this yet, but you can actually do that in the customizer, or you can put your own text, or you can just get rid of all of that and have nothing in the footer. You can get rid of the footer completely and just not have a footer. Or you can do something where you have two sections. Well, you can have them one on top of the other or side by side. So I could have text over here to the left, and then I could do like a widget to the right. I don't have any widgets set up, but I can show you that in a second. So there it is. You can see add a widget. There's that right there. So I'm not going to do a widget though. I'm going to do a footer menu, and I'm going to show you how to assign a menu there. So in order to assign a footer menu, I can come out of the footer, go into menus, and there's no menu assigned, but I have a menu already right here, so I can click on that, and I can actually assign this one to a footer menu also. So it's the same menu in the header and the footer. Now see it has home and embed HubSpot, and up here at the top, home, embed HubSpot. Except it's not going to pull in that button because that's not actually part of the menu. So back into the footer bar here, I can control how everything looks, the colors, all that good stuff. But I can also add a footer widget bar. So if I want different columns above the regular footer, there I can add that. There's footer widget area 1, 2, 3, and 4. And I control the colors, the background, all this good stuff. And in order to control what shows there, I can come back here to the widgets section. And there you see footer widget area 1. I can click on that and I can add a widget. Add a calendar. And then that's going to refresh with a calendar for my blog. Here, footer widget 2, I can add archives. That'll show archives from my blog. And you can add things also like I can add custom text. So I can add custom text, and you can see I can write my own message in here. I can have my own title, and you can put more than one widget in each column. I can add a search widget right below this. So you can see you can stack widgets up, and boom, there's a search. And I can add something in widget 4. I can add the meta information, which adds stuff like login to WordPress, site admin, not really stuff you would generally put on a website. So you can do it, but you shouldn't. But see, this is part of the footer. It has the 4 columns, and now there's also the footer with information about the copyright info and the navigation. So you can control each individual part of this footer. So again, that's how you can control how your theme looks with the customizer. Now the customizer by default is relatively basic. You have a lot of controls as it is, but you can get even more controls. One thing I want to mention before I get out of the customizer though, before any of this, while you're going through configuring it, changing the look of everything, none of this stuff shows to users on your website. It will only show to you while you're in it, and it'll only show to users once you hit the publish button up here. So all these changes I've made, they're not live. If I looked at the actual website, these changes are not live on my website. If I looked on the actual website, you'll see, this is the live website. Nothing has taken effect. It only looks like this to me until I hit the publish button. You can even create a look and feel for your website, and you can publish it later. That's what this gear icon's for. You can save a draft of it and just save it to keep editing it over time without actually publishing the changes. Or you can schedule the changes so they can publish on a certain date and time. And then also, if you made a bunch of changes and you don't really want to save them, like I don't want to save these changes, I can just click discard changes, OK, and they're going to go away. Now every single change that I made is gone. So I'm going to get out of the customizer and show you how you can add even more advanced features into the customizer so you can get even more options in there. I'm not going to go through all of these. That's for another video where I'll cover what some of these do. But you can go into Appearance, WPHubSite Theme, and that's going to give you a lot of pro options. So you can see by default some of the advanced pro modules are activated, like colors and background, typography, and spacing. Those are essential for every single website, so they're enabled by default. But if you want to configure even more aspects of your blog, you can use Blog Pro and you can activate that module. Then you'll have more options for blog. If you want to have more control over the mobile header, then you can activate that one. Header sections, these all have different options. I'm not going to cover all of them in this video. Just know that you can come into this under Appearance, WPHubSite Theme, and you can enable additional modules to control the look and feel of your website through the customizer. Again, these are all completely independent of the site builder, which is an additional way you can control how your website looks and functions. You can make a header that applies to every single page or only certain pages with Site Builder itself. And that's for another video, more advanced customization. But with the WPHubSite website, we did a mix. This is the customizer. We use the customizer for here, and for the footer is Site Builder. So you can even mix and match to fit your needs. So that's all you need to do to use the customizer. But before we go, I'll very briefly cover the menu section. See again, you can create menus, you can manage menus entirely in here in the customizer. So I can create a new menu. I can assign it as the primary menu, which is up here, or the footer menu, which is going to be down at the bottom. And then I can click next, and I can add items. So you can add a whole bunch of pages from your site. You can drag them up and down. You can even indent them, and that makes a submenu. Oops. And that's going to make a submenu right there. And then I'm going to make this one the primary menu real quick, and you can see there's a submenu. I created home. When you hover over it, it has those sub items in it. And then, if you're good with those settings, you can publish them. So that's everything that you can do in the customizer. Keep in mind there are the more advanced modules also. So you really have a lot of options to make the website how you want it with the customizer. So go in there, check it out, play with the settings, learn what everything does. And again, there's a help article with more information on exactly what each detail does. If you have any questions about any part of it, that help article really explains in depth each part. And then also, if you have any questions about the customizer, any specific questions on what you can accomplish, if you're looking to accomplish a certain thing, you can always reach out to us and we'll help point you in the right direction. and help you make that customization you'd like. So thanks for watching this video, and be sure to keep watching the Getting Started videos for more on how all the different bits and pieces of WPHubSite works in creating a really cool WordPress website that eventually, once you get it all looking and feeling how you want, you can integrate into HubSpot and start messing with all the power that has, combining WordPress with HubSpot. So thanks for watching, and have a great day.